on UI7 News, students at a Champaign Middle School got to vote in their very own mock election this morning. We have more on these young voters.
A new dean has been selected on the U of I campus. We'll tell you which college.
And the election is a week away, but some are getting their ballots cast early. We have a look at early voting on campus.
Your UI7 News starts right now.
Journalism teaching studio at the University of Illinois campus, UI7 News, your U of I news source.
Hello, I'm Nina Flores.
And I'm Cassie Carlson.
Only a few days remain for Illinois residents and U of I students to vote early.
Early voting ends Friday at the Illini Union and Activities and Recreation Center.
UI7's Elise Kozel explains how to cast your vote on campus.
And it was Mitchell, M-I-T-C-H-E-L-L.
As we inch closer to voting day with 1 week before the presidential election, early voting is in full swing. This morning, Champaign County Clerk Gordy Holton was assisting voting taking place in the Illini Union basement.
So early voting is great because it allows the voter to choose the time and the place where they get to vote. In Champaign County, we have 9 early voting locations in addition to our office. So voters can choose which location is most convenient for them. They can choose the time when they cast their vote. On election day, they're restricted to one polling place during one window of time. Early voting just gives them more options.
With voting being in such a central location, students can drop in and cast their vote right on their way to class.
It was really easy. It took like 5 minutes for me to just get registered in and do everything like that. And yeah, there's no reason nobody should come out to vote.
This is a really good location in the Union. Even though it's in the basement, it's right next to the food court. We get lots of traffic. We've had about 2,600 voters take advantage of it already for this election. We're hoping for another several thousand before election.
If you're like me and don't enjoy waiting in line, then early voting is for you, but some students just don't feel like it.
This is probably my least dignified answer, but I'm just lazy. I procrastinate a lot. I always get things done last minute, and so I know I'm going to vote, and I think this is a really important election to vote, but I got some other stuff on my plate. I'll work my way to it.
Early voting will be taking place up until Election Day. More information is available at the Champaign County Clerk website. In Champaign, Elise Kozel, UI7 News.
Champaign's Jefferson Middle School is teaching students how to vote by participating in the national mock election. After learning about this year's election, though, some students are sure they would never want to be president.
Thanks for voting, Abby.
At ages 10 to 14, middle school students are too young to vote, but Jefferson Middle School is still teaching the importance of participating in democracy. But after studying this election, students like 8th grader Lucas White wouldn't want to be president.
No, I just can't imagine. It's just way too stressful, I'm guessing.
Organizer of the mock election, Christine Adrian, says she sees this as a jumpstart for kids voting once they turn 18.
I hope to see the kids getting excited about voting, and that when they come visit me from seniors in high school, that they tell me they just voted.
65% of the Jefferson Middle School student body has registered to vote in this mock election, which is less than in previous years. Regardless of the numbers, both Mayor Finan and Christine Adrian still believe it's important to teach kids that they should be able to say, I voted.
Adrian believes the numbers are low because of so much controversy in this election and the influence of parents on their kids.
I want my kids to vote. They need to be civically engaged. They need to understand how a democracy works, and that without us voting, we don't have any say-so, and that would be a travesty.
White says he has learned about some of the hottest topics in politics, and if he became president, he has one law in mind.
New holiday, Halloween, you get school off.
And his campaign slogan?
Winner, winner, chicken dinner.
In Champaign, Cassie Carlson, UI7 News.
Some people say letting your voice be heard is the first step in making a difference for this country. UI7's Lauren Hicks shares local motivations to vote in this year's election.
Champaign County Clerk's Office has helped inform and motivate people to vote through word of mouth, social media, digital advertising, postcards, and emails. Despite these efforts, some people are still left unconvinced. Angela Bigham shares why she is unmotivated to get to the polls.
Social media, they're portraying Hillary and Trump both as bad guys. I think people should vote for me. I will run this country.
Social media allows candidates an alternative way outside of debates and campaigns to show how they could better the country. However, Marcos Sinclair does not have a Facebook and doesn't use media as an influence. His motivation to vote was driven from the way his family has raised him.
My parents have always been really politically active. Even though my dad's a Canadian citizen and can't vote, my mom has always brought it up at the dinner table, and it's something that we still talk about to this day. Our voting habits, why we're voting for people, sort of down the ballot lists. It's always been something that's been a part of our family.
Champaign County Clerk Gordy Halton says there are very few legitimate excuses for not voting.
There's no reason it's too difficult, there's no reason it's too inconvenient, there's no reason it's too time consuming. It is incredibly easy.
As of right now, Halton says that Champaign County has at least 20,000 early votes in, and they are expected to reach at least 30,000 to 35,000 votes before Election Day.
Nobody likes living a life where other people get to make decisions for you, and when you abstain from voting, that's what you're doing.
Voters can begin casting their ballots at 6 a.m. on Election Day. In Urbana, Lauren Hicks, UI7 News.
A University of Illinois election analytics website shows that Donald Trump has nearly zero chance of winning the presidential race. These nonpartisan numbers show that Hillary Clinton has a 99.77% chance of winning the election. Donald Trump, on the other hand, was found to have 0.02% chance of winning. According to the website in Illinois, Clinton has 100% chance of winning, and these statistics are gathered through Bayesian stats and operations research methods to come up with the numbers.
Election results will be available to you throughout the night on November 8th. UI7 News will be providing coverage of national and state elections that have an impact on our community. Our team of reporters and anchors will bring you election reports at the top of each hour, beginning at 7 with a wrap-up show at midnight. We'll be reporting on more than a dozen races in Illinois and the Champaign-Urbana area, including the Unit 4 school referendum and the presidential race in Illinois. Be sure to join us next Tuesday for all your election coverage.
More unseasonably warm fall weather in central Illinois this week.
Let's check in with UI7's Jenny Horn live in Urbana to see if we should pack away our sweaters.
Hi guys, we tied record high temperatures today, reaching 80 degrees. The record was last set in 1950. So the 66-year-old record is hard to break, and it's obviously so beautiful outside. I'm standing outside in a t-shirt in November. I can't believe it. Let's take a look at tonight's Fastcast. Now it's going to be a low of 60 degrees with south-southwest winds between 5 and 10 miles per hour. It's going to be a really comfortable night, some clouds, but pretty nice, pretty warm temperatures for this time of year. I'll be back in a few minutes to look at the weather report for the rest of the week.
The College of LAS has named its interim dean. Find out about the man who will assume the role starting today.
And it has been 7 years since a Muhammad woman was mysteriously murdered. Find out if there is a new development in the case after the break. Newspapers have been endorsing presidential candidates for centuries. UI7's Zach Perlutsky shows if those endorsements hold as much water with Illinois voters as they used to.
Newspapers have been around in America since the late 17th century. With over 3 centuries of existence, newspapers have been influential in politics and public opinion. But do newspaper endorsements for president really influence people's minds?
I do not think that, I speak for myself, I can make up my own mind. I don't need a newspaper telling me what to believe.
Daily Illini opinions editor Matt Silich talks about how the times have changed with the new media.
On social media, people can really just focus on what they want to read about. So instead of going to a big, supposedly or usually unbiased news source, so like the New York Times, Washington Post, whatever, people can just go to like a little boutique news site that has all of their opinions already in there.
Through the end of October, between daily, weekly, college, and international newspapers, as well as magazines, Democratic nominee Hillary Clinton has 389 endorsements so far, including one from the Daily Illini, compared to the Republican nominee Donald Trump's only 8. Some of the major newspapers in America, like the Chicago Tribune, have endorsed third-party candidates such as Gary Johnson. 66 newspapers gave no endorsements for president, including the News Gazette.
I think, for me at least, not even being in a major paper, just the student newspaper, it's on my mind all the time. I'm always thinking and reading about news from the election. I think that's definitely a factor for, how many papers have endorsed candidates.
According to a Pew Research Center study, almost 7 in 10 Americans say newspaper endorsements have no impact on their vote. In Champaign, Zach Perlutsky, UI7 News.
The College of Liberal Arts and Sciences named a new interim dean. UIUC's Martin Camargo starts his new position today, pending approval by the U of I Board of Trustees. Camargo has been the Associate Dean for Humanities and Interdisciplinary Programs in LAS. The previous interim dean, Executive Associate Dean Brian Ross, held the position since early October. This position closed off his career as he retired from the university yesterday. Interim Vice Chancellor for Academic Affairs Edward Fazer says they are doing internal search for a permanent LAS dean. He hopes to fill the position by the end of this month. The College of Agricultural, Consumer Economics and Sciences has also welcomed a new dean, Kim Kidwell. Dean Kidwell started as dean in College of Aces today.
A U of I alumnus is set to become the new Chief Justice of the Illinois Supreme Court. Lloyd Carmeyer will become the 120th Chief Justice. He is replacing Justice Rita Garman, who is completing her 3-year term. He has served on the Supreme Court since 2004. Now, Carmeyer will oversee more than 900 judges in Illinois. A ceremony is scheduled for Monday afternoon at the Illinois Supreme Court in Springfield.
And justice is still waiting to be served for a murder of a Muhammad woman. 7 years later, the community is still searching for answers. Hallie Cassano was murdered after being stabbed approximately 60 times on November 2, 2009. Investigators recovered plenty of DNA evidence from the crime scene, but have not yet been able to identify the killer. New developments have surfaced as recently as last year. A vigil for Cassano is scheduled for tomorrow night at 6 p.m. at the Champaign County Courthouse.
In other news, the University of Illinois has a new ranking. U of I was ranked 12th in Trojan's 2016 Sexual Health Report Card, an annual ranking of the sexual health resources available to students on college campuses nationwide. The number 1 and number 2 spots were taken by the University of Georgia and Oregon State University. Researchers graded student health center services across 11 categories. Some of these included quality of sexual information and resources, contraceptive availability, condom availability, and on-site HIV testing. To encourage students to be actively interested in their sexual health, Trojan is donating more than 100,000 condoms to schools throughout the country.
In other news, dads are descending upon Champaign for the annual Dads Weekend. The University of Illinois Dads Association has a list of activities for you and your dad to do. On Friday, November 4th, pick up your football tickets from 3 to 8 p.m. At 6 p.m., there's a men's hockey game against ISU. Then at 7, men's basketball plays Lewis University in their final exhibition game. On Saturday before the football game, there's a barbecue at 9. Kickoff for that game against Michigan State starts at 11. Later in the night, the Brit Beat multimedia concert is at 8. Finish the weekend off on Sunday from 11 to 1 with a brunch.
If your dad is calling you asking what to bring for Dad's Weekend, make sure he packs his shorts.
We'll see if this week's weather will stay unseasonably warm right after this break.
The weather throughout Illinois has stayed unseasonably warm throughout the fall. Today we tied record high temperatures at 80 degrees.
Time to see what UI7's Jenny Horn has to say about our forecast for Central Illinois and Dad's Weekend.
Happy November 1st. Now, as you can see, if you stepped outside today, it is unseasonably warm for this time of year. Taking a look at our local temperatures now, you can see that it is going to be just low 70s all around the board. It's awesome for this time of year. Who could have ever thought? Taking a look at our Midwest temperatures now, again, in Illinois, we're seeing these mid to low 70s. In southern tip, we're seeing 77, 78 degrees. All the way in Louisville, we're looking at 81 degrees. So just super hot today. Now taking a look at our national temperatures, you're going to see, again, the Midwest is facing these unusually warm temperatures, but it is going to be a very nice 82 degrees in Dallas, 79 in Atlanta, 72 in Cleveland, where the Cubs and the Indians are playing tonight, so perfect baseball weather. But actually the craziest thing is that it's only 65 degrees in Los Angeles, so who would have ever guessed that it would be warmer in Cleveland than LA? Taking a look at tonight's temperatures, it's going to be 60 degrees, a fairly comfortable evening with south-southwest winds between 10 and 15 miles per hour. Just a really comfortable night, but tomorrow we are going to see some rain. The rain should start around 1 p.m. with increasing from 40%, but it is going to be 78 degrees, so also a pretty nice day. Taking a look at the 5-day forecast, again, we're going to see a chance of thunderstorms on Wednesday with a high of 78, low of 54. Thursday, we're going to see partially sunny skies with a high of 66 and a low of 44. Friday is going to be absolutely beautiful with pure sun, a high of 60. 64 and a low of 45. Saturday and Sunday are U of I's Dad's Weekend, and they're going to be absolutely beautiful again with a high of 67 on Saturday and a low of 44. Sunday, remember to set your clocks back because we're switching to standard time, and it's going to be a high of 66 and a low of 45. A reminder that you're going to get an extra hour of sleep this week. This weekend, we fall back to standard time from daylight savings time. That means winding the clock back 1 hour when you go to bed Saturday night, thus the extra hour of sleep. Winding the clock back is supposed to take better advantage of the available daylight.
I'm so excited to gain an hour of sleep. I always like when I wake up and it's finally bright in the morning instead of being dark and it's already hard to roll out of bed.
Totally. I can't wait. I mean, I am so excited just to feel like an extra hour of sleep. It's going to be amazing, and it's been so warm, so more time outside, more time in the daylight. It's awesome.
Great. Well, joining us now is Chris Kennedy with UI7 Sports.
Thanks. And coming up next, it's Game 6 of the World Series, and it's win or go home for the Chicago Cubs in Cleveland. Plus, Illini football head coach Lovie Smith responds to rumors that he's miserable in Champaign. We'll have all this and more next in sports. The Chicago Cubs face a must-win game tonight in Cleveland. It's Game 6 of the World Series, and it's win or go home for the National League champs. UI7's Kelsey Labatkin talked to students before tonight's Fall Classic matchup.
The Chicago Cubs are back in Cleveland tonight to face off the Indians in Game 6 of the World Series. The Indians have a 3-2 lead following the weekend's games. A win for the Indians tonight would be their first World Series title since 1948. As for the Cubs, they will need to win the next 2 games to claim their first championship since 1908. The Cubs' win in Game 5 Sunday night sparked cheers all throughout the stadium. The World Series game also beat out Sunday Night Football Cowboy-Eagles game ratings by 32%. Game 5 was the first time in 3 years that a World Series game topped the ratings of a Sunday Night Football game. It also was the best rating for any baseball game in the past 5 years. Following the game Sunday, Cubs head coach Joe Maddon is in a unique position.
I've never been looking forward to wanting to play the 7th game of a World Series in my life, But I like to believe we're going to gain some momentum from this game going back over there.
Cubs fans are just as prepared for the rest of the series in Cleveland and are looking forward to another game tomorrow night.
This weekend game, I really was upset that we didn't make it a 4-game sweep, but I think we definitely got it going. I think we got our aces up, so I think we'll definitely pull it out in Game 7.
It's going to be a lot of hands on my face, praying that everything goes well.
I've been pretty tense. I think we can win Game 6, but Game 7 is going to be pretty tough.
Game 6 starts tonight at 7 p.m. Central.
Illinois head coach Lovie Smith is denying that he's unhappy at U of I. A report yesterday from ESPN's Adam Rittenberg claims that Smith is miserable in Champaign after a 2-6 start, and that the rebuild will be tougher than he anticipated. The report says he's not likely to leave, but if the NFL comes calling, all bets are off. Smith addressed his happiness at his regular Monday news conference.
No, I haven't seen that, and yeah, I guess I'm going to respond to it one time. Am I happy right now with where we are? No, no one on our football team is happy where we are right now. My time in Champaign, it's a little bit bigger than just where we are right now.
Last night, Lovie also took to Twitter to deny any rumors, saying, "Marianne and I are incredibly happy in Champaign. We love this university and this community, as well as we look forward to working together to build Illinois football into a championship program." Lovie and the team now turn their attention to Michigan State, the Illini's opponent for Dad's Day. Illinois is coming off a 40-17 homecoming weekend loss to Minnesota. Like the Illini, the Spartans are also 2-6. They've lost their last 6 games and are winless in the Big Ten. But nevertheless, they opened as 10-point favorites over Illinois. However, Vegas has rescinded their betting lines with the status of Illinois quarterback Wes Lunt up in the air. The Illini's fortune may depend on the health of Lunt, who was injured in early October against Purdue. Third-string quarterback Jeff George Jr. started last Saturday's game. He struggled against the Golden Gophers, including a fumble on the team's first offensive snap and taking a safety. Michigan State is 9-1 in their last 10 games versus Illinois. The Illinois men's basketball team will kick off Dad's Weekend on Friday night as they wrap up their exhibition season against the Lewis Flyers. The Illini made their season debut on Sunday against Washington University. It was the team's first game in the newly, fully renovated State Farm Center. Illinois got off to a slow start, making only 5 of their first 22 shots and trailing the Division III Bears 24-17 at one point. But the Illini closed out the first half on a 14-0 run and held that lead to the end, winning 82-75. Senior Maverick Morgan and redshirt sophomore Michael Finke led the Illini with a combined 33 points. 6-year guard Tracy Abrams also made his first return to the court since 2014, finishing with 5 points, 4 assists, and 3 steals. The Illinois volleyball team will look to turn things around this weekend on the road in Michigan. The Illini are struggling in the second half of their Big Ten campaign. This weekend, the team suffered 2 defeats on the road, a shutout at #1 Nebraska on Friday, and a 5-set loss at Iowa on Saturday. The Illini were dropped from this week's top 25 for the first time since September. 7 of the Big Ten's 14 teams are ranked, including the top 3 teams in the country. Illinois is in the midst of a 3-match losing streak as they go to face number 17 Michigan this Friday night and number 16 Michigan State on Saturday. The Illini swept Michigan State at Huff Hall on October 12th. That's all for UI7 Sports. Back to you guys.
Thanks, Chris. Halloween brings out a lot of good costumes. Here is today's Take a Look at This.
Well, Halloween has come and gone. Boo! Get it? Boo. Well, there was no shortage of clever costumes on display, but this one may trump them all. A Kansas 5th grader is going viral for his unique riff on everyone's favorite coiffed candidate. Gage DeVader of Wichita spoofed Donald Trump's infamous mane with a combination of grass skirts, an umbrella, and Trump's signature Make America Great Again hat, complete with eye holes. Gage says there's no political aim here. He just did it to make people laugh and never expected it to blow up like it has. Where there are witches, there should be broomsticks, right? Witch, please. A group of ladies in Florida got dressed up and did some witching, ditching the traditional brooms for bikes and riding through their South Walton community. The witches' brouhaha was for charity, scaring up donations for Children's Volunteer Health Network. And lastly, check out this creepy high-res image released by NASA showing active regions on the sun that just so happen to look eerily like a jack-o'-lantern. The image was actually captured earlier in the month, but it seems like an appropriate send-off for everyone's favorite cavity-inducing holiday. For Take a Look at This, I'm Jeremy Roth.
Tonight at the Art Co-op Theater in Champaign, there will be a showing of the documentary Voices of Stag. See how this documentary focuses on empathy in high school students' lives.
There's a lot of different people in this room. There's a lot of different social groups in this room. And I have my friends, but I would never talk to these people. And so that was like very much a thing of, we want to find different ways and in a more serious way to kind of bring them to a better understanding that there are differences and there are similarities, but there are things that all of us are here, and there are a lot of things that affect us that are kind of out of our control.
Voices of Stag was a 2-year project where our instructor, Kenneth Erdy, followed a class in a southwest suburban high school. Students of the class wrote the book 111th and Roberts Road, Where Our Lives Intersect. They are a collection of stories that had an emphasis on empathy. The documentary is being shown this evening at 7:30 at the Art Co-op Theater in downtown Champaign. So it looks like, I don't know, I think I'm going to go to the film. So are you guys going to go?
Absolutely. I love to support him. Yeah, it's going to be amazing.
Well, that wraps up this episode of our newscast. Thanks for tuning in.
Stay lovely, Jen.